I'm Muriel Anderson, and for me, Nashville is the place where I feel at home. I remember when the first time was that I came to Nashville. As soon as the wheels of the airplane touched down in Nashville, all of a sudden I felt at home. I didn't really know why. But I found it's a place that musicians get together and play music for fun as much as for a living. And it's a unique place in that way. You have access to some of the greatest musicians in the world, in all different styles, not just the country music. And also, I found that it was a place that I could grow as an artist. And I came here and decided to settle in Nashville to grow as a musician, grow as an artist. And it's really been a wonderfully nurturing place for that. I wrote a tune really about that, the way I felt in Nashville. I call it Hometown, about my spiritual hometown, Nashville.
Hi, I'm Dave Pomeroy. I'm a bass player and president of the Nashville Musicians Association, AFM Local 257, and I'm also the international vice president of the whole AFM of the US and Canada. Glad to be here. I moved to Nashville in 1977 knowing one person. I was a military kid and was born in Italy and lived all over the place, but moved here and have had an amazing string of luck, blessings, whatever you want to call it. Been able to play with some of my heroes, people like Steve Winwood, Peter Frampton, Earl Scruggs, Elton John, Chet Atkins, and got to make records with wonderful people like Trisha Yearwood and Keith Whitley and Alan Jackson and help them, get going with their careers. So I've been very blessed to get to do a lot of things, and I got more involved with the Musicians Union because the people I worked with really treated me well, and that is how Nashville became Music City. And I felt that somebody from my generation needed to step up and make sure that musicians continue to be respected in the way that they have been for years here, where you can be successful and not be called a sellout. You're just a professional. And the music business doesn't have to be a win-lose. It can be a win-win when everybody treats each other with respect. And so I've gone from being a bass player to a very similar thing of trying to bring people together, but in a business way, and just making sure that Nashville keeps its reputation as Music City and a place where someone who knows one person or no one can come and still have a chance to be successful in the music business. When I moved to Nashville, I had only written a few songs, and it was not something that I really thought a lot about, but when you're here, it just starts happening. And Guy Clark, the wonderful songwriter who I worked with for a long time, called me one day and said, "Come over to the office, I need to play you something." And he played me a song that he knew I would love, called "The Day the Bass Players Took Over the World" that he had heard down in Texas at the Kerrville Folk Festival, written by a lady named Emily Cates. And so he gave me a cassette of the song, and I took it home and I listened to it over and over again, and I recorded my own version of it with 22 bass parts doing all the parts of the whole band. And I added some additional lyrics and made an arrangement for multiple basses, and she was kind enough to make me co-writer and co-publisher of my version of the song. And a couple years later, Chet Atkins came to hear me play one night and heard me play that song, called me the next day, said, "Send over the lyrics of that funny song, Double Spaced." So I typed them out, sent it over, didn't think much about it. And a few months later, got a call from Sony Records, and it ended up being the title track of Chet's final album that he made with Tommy Emmanuel. And the title track of the album was "The Day Fingerpickers Took Over the World." And they had adapted it to what they were doing. And that was such a thrill and something I never could have even imagined when I moved to Nashville. And that's the kind of things that happen.
Bonjour. My name is Stephan Dudash, and I'm a musician here in Nashville, originally born in Minnesota. I play a 5-string viola or a big fiddle, but I also play some mandolin, some guitar, bass guitar, and sing, compose, write songs. I teach violin, but I'm also playing in a classic country band, the Jack Props Band, and I'm also playing in a Cajun band called Rue du Bayou. Yeah, what Nashville means to me, well, right now it means everything. It's my home. It's been my home since 1990. So I'm a transplant. Before here, I lived in Dallas. I've been in the South for about 40 years now. Before that, I discovered country music, which is a little strange, up in Boston. I just happened to meet this fellow from Texas, and he couldn't find a fiddle player anywhere. Well, I ended up going to his house, and he played me a record, and guess who it was? It was Muriel Haggard. And I went, "Oh my Lord." I said, "Who is that?" And he said it was Muriel Haggard. And I said, "I love this guy singing." And immediately I was in the direction of country music from that point forth. So that was like a fork in the road for me. And I ended up moving to Illinois, but still pursued, singing country music. The Southern kind of thing in my voice kind of got started doing country music, doing blues. And then I ended up moving to Dallas and lived there for 9 years. I taught at the Suzuki Institute of Dallas. So that was sort of the classical side of my background. And then I was playing at a steakhouse doing classic country. So I was a workaholic pretty much when I lived in Dallas. Then a good friend of mine had made a cassette tape, all original songs. His sister gave it to Mel Tillis. And when Mel heard the tape, he asked him to come to Nashville. And that was kind of like, maybe I should get to Nashville too. And I thought, you know what? That's where I need to be. So that was 1990, and I moved up here, and immediately I had a job working at the Opryland Park, playing fiddle for Russ and Becky Jeffers. Did that for, I was in Opryland till they closed in 1997. And after that, I was in a band called Bada Bing Bada Boom, and also the Nashville Mandolin Ensemble, a variety of other things since then. So then I toured with John Jorgensen. Guess what? We went to Italy, and I met the people who are interviewing me here today. So back to Nashville. Nashville has just been really extraordinary because the amount of history that I've learned about country music since I've been here. And you see star-type people like everywhere as you are around town, and you get to meet so many people and opportunities constantly coming up to play different gigs and jam. It's been a joy being here. It was interesting because when I first came here, I thought, well, maybe I can also earn a living teaching. So it wasn't until about maybe 2 years later when Fred Carpenter, a well-known violin or fiddler here in town, who also owned the violin shop, asked me if I taught violin. Anyway, that's about what Nashville means to me. Very happy to be here.
What about the song?
Yeah, so I got to play on Nita and Davide's CD last year. And so they were doing a project over here, and we went up to Cinderella Studios, which is extremely historic and famous. Mostly original stuff, so challenging for us to come up with parts and fit in and sound good, but I love the project. And so they're asking me about the song, and I told them I really have 3 songs. I really can't do one. If I take the one that's probably most special for me, it's because it's just solo violin and guitar. and you get to hear the character of my instrument. And also it's a style, I kind of think of myself as kind of a gypsy romantic. I would say I'm divided between two other songs. One is called Ancient Love. It's sort of like I just said, playing very romantic and beautiful and elegant, and a beautiful message that Anita put in the song, and her voice is just awesome on it. And not to mention the guitar, I got to put the guitar in there too. Davide is extraordinary. And then the other one that really gets me just jumping around is the Fox Hunter song, and it's filled with all kinds of magic. I keep saying that. It's just like, we're playing tomorrow night, and I don't know that I can put that much magic in it. So that would be the other song. So glad to be a part of all that. Goodbye. Thanks for having me.